Welcome to Revolt Black News. I'm your host, Eboni K. Williams. Now today, we're going to take a look at crime around some of our biggest inner cities, and we want to start things off in the A. So helping get things started, Atlanta Councilman and Mayoral candidate Antonio Brown. Thanks for joining us again, Antonio.
Absolutely, Ebony. Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, I don't have to tell you this. You know, the Atlanta homicide rate has risen by about 60% in just 2021, Antonio. And that's more deaths than it has seen in the last 2 decades. I want to be clear about that. What do you attribute such a swift rise in crime and homicide to?
Well, I think it's a multiple of things. One, we have communities that have lived in generational poverty in this city for decades. And until we begin to address the root cause of generational poverty, I don't believe we're ever going to cure the cycle of crime. The other issue is that you have our police force in the city that has been operating in a low morale, and you've seen the blue flu come and go in the city and officers leave the police force. I think the overall culture in policing, it's just been really problematic in the city. And then we've had the social justice movement that transpired. And I think collectively together, you see what folks are identifying as a rise in crime. But the reality is what is happening is crime is spilling over into communities that have never really seen it before.
That's interesting. What do you attribute that to? I guess those kind of broadening of boundaries in the worst way. Why do you think we're seeing that trickle into new areas and new spaces?
Well, when you congregate poverty and specifically Black and brown poor people, and you put them in these low income areas, and you take away all of their resources and opportunities and access to healthcare and jobs and just being able to survive in this city, they resort to going into survival mode like anybody else would. I was in debate and I told folks, I said, listen, if I was left with the choice to have to commit a crime to sustain my family and make sure we don't become homeless or my kids have food on the table, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to be out here robbing and stealing too.
Okay, that I see those dots, and we're going to get to, I know, some of your plans and action points as to how to undermine that correlation in a minute. But first, I want to ask you, Antonio, there are some, I guess, rumors really at this point and some false reports talking about a potential serial killer in the area of Atlanta right now. Given that correlated with what we talked about, at least a narrative of an uptick in crime, do you think Atlanta residents in general, including specifically Black Atlanta residents, do you think they feel safe?
I don't think anyone feels safe in this city. And it's not even safety in the aspect of crime in the city. I think folks just don't feel safe because folks don't believe that they don't know how they're going to get till tomorrow. And it's not a matter of the fact that people kind of portraying this as, an issue of rising crime, why folks are, no, you have folks that are just, one step from being homeless, that don't feel safe, that don't feel secure in their homes. So everything is not about crime, which is driving the feeling of feeling unsafe in Atlanta.
So I hear you saying, Antonio, and I receive it, which is really that this is all systemic, it's connected, it's generational. And I think I hear some subtext as to perhaps the pandemic, when America gets the cold, Black folks get the flu. It sounds like Atlanta might have pneumonia right now because all of these things have really been exacerbated by the pandemic. Is that something that you agree with? Do you think the pandemic's made things that were bad even worse?
1,000%. But guess what? I also believe that they were necessary. What we see transpiring, in which was really conducive of the pandemic, is what was eventually going to happen anyway. The only thing it did was propel it forward a lot faster than what we were as a city prepared for. And the response has been reactive, and it's been, oh my God, crime is now spilling over into other communities that have never seen it before, and we need to do something about it. Well, no, crime has been here, and we failed to address it, and now the pandemic is forcing us to address it.
All right, Antonio. Now, as we've reported here before on Revolt Black News, you are running for mayor this term in the city of Atlanta. Tell us a little bit about your platform, agenda items, and some action items that you intend to implement if indeed elected mayor of Atlanta.
Yeah, so I talk a lot about my mission being one that would create a socioeconomic shift in the economic class system in Atlanta. So basically creating an inclusive and thriving ecosystem where no Atlantan is left behind. So that means we need to take those that are living in poverty, we need to provide them jobs, career trades, provide them wraparound services and support so we can help move them upwardly towards the working middle class. We need to take the working middle class and we need to provide them access to capital so that they can start small businesses if they choose to, if they want to be an entrepreneur. So a part of creating this inclusive and thriving ecosystem is that we've also got to take those that are in the working middle class, that are struggling, that are living paycheck to paycheck, but have aspirations of being an entrepreneur and creating a small business. We need to provide them access to capital so that they can build a business and be able to hire from within the community, because the reality is our small businesses are the heart of our economy. And if we can provide them the resources to grow and expand in the city, then we create a system, an ecosystem where everybody thrives and no one's ever left behind.
All right, Antonio, we're talking a lot and very important things about kind of how local government and resources can be helpful to the ecosystem you speak about. But I know as a councilman, you work closely with your constituents hands-on. What are some kind of intra-communal resources that people can avail themselves to right now?
Yeah, so when I first came on to council, I created a community loan fund for credit disadvantaged small businesses that's housed at Invest Atlanta. You know, residents don't have to go anywhere. If you're a small business owner and you want to take advantage of these resources, you can apply online. We also have our Atlanta Housing Authority, which helps with a lot of our housing voucher programs. That's a great resource. Partners for Home for our unsheltered population. There's a ton of resources in the communities that residents have access to. But one of the things you said, Eboni, that really stuck out for me is that we have to get to a point and where we have to empower ourselves and not wait for someone to come and save us. We have to be in a position where we can save ourselves.
We indeed are our best and most natural resource. I couldn't agree with you more. Hey y'all, now for full episodes of Revolt Black News, tune into Revolt TV. And if your cable provider doesn't carry it, make sure you reach out and let them know that you're trying to join the revolution. I'll see y'all every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Revolt.